Howdy, everyone. It's Sam. I hope you're doing really well. If you do around here, I hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. For the first time since 2014, Cowboys traveled down to Cogra to take on the Dragons. For the first time since 2003, they have won at Net Strata Jubilee in Cogra. The North Queensland Cowboys putting in a back to formula performance against the St. George Illawarra Dragons, downing them 34 points to 8, and it was only 10-8 at halftime. It was a really solid performance by the men from Townsville. Before I go in, I just want to go into the chat now and just say hello to everyone that's in. Hey, Jason Reeder. G'day, Lachlan Smith. How are you, man? Miss Jacqueline Dixon. Hey, woo, go Cowboys. Wow. So let's get stuck into it. So I've written it all down. So the Dragons kicked off to the Cowboys, running from left to right. And in the first 5 minutes, it was back and forth footy with the Cowboys making the first error of the contest. But then in the 10th minute, the St. George Illawarra Dragons got a little bit more territory, a little bit more possession and momentum, and they actually hit the scoreboard first. The Dragons going up 2-0 after only 10 minutes or so. And I did think to myself, the discipline is just a little bit off here, lads. And then in the 15th minute, Kyle Felt was making his way out of trouble, and he earned a penalty for his side. And in the very next set, the Cowboys struck to score their first try. It was Scott Drinkwater, who was so smooth in this moment, received a pass from Townsend, and Drinkwater was so up in the line, I thought, oh no, he's going to make a mistake here just because there's so much traffic around him. But he caught the ball, weaved his way around the corner, ran another 10 more meters before reaching the try line, flicked it out to Kyle Felt, and Kyle Felt went over to score the actual first try of the contest. But Valentine Holmes missed the conversion. It was 4-2 after 15 minutes, and there were a couple of errors, but all in all, it was a really cool game of footy so far. And then on the very next set, the Cowboys scored their second try. The Cowboys went back-to-back from the 15th minute, and it was Jeremiah Nanai who received the ball about 10 meters out from the halfway line. And Jeremiah Nanai put a sidestep on. He put a big don't argue, ran about 20 or 30 meters, got into the Dragons' territory, saw Drinkwater on his inside, and Scott Drinkwater caught the ball and ran 40 meters to score underneath the black dot. And the North Queensland Cowboys were up then 10-2. You're thinking, oh, this is already a much better performance than what they turned out last week against the West Tigers. And then in the 23rd minute, Ruben Cotter then came onto the field. And then in the 28th minute, an unfortunate try for the Cowboys to leak. Ben Hunt got the ball on the last tackle, or it was the fourth tackle, and he had plenty of Cowboys on him, but he was able to put a flick pass out. Went to no one, though, and then there was just a bit of ping pong ball action, and then it was Jack DeBellin that scooted over or found the bouncing ball. He was the first one to get to it, and then the Dragons scored their first and only try for the contest. And then going in for the rest of the 10 minutes in that first half, I'd say that the Dragons up to that point were probably more stinging in defense. I feel like they were more angry in defense, whereas the Cowboys, they were a lot calmer, they were a lot cooler. But the Dragons just couldn't ice it in the final 10 minutes of that first half when possession and momentum was really starting to swing their way. So unfortunate for them. I'm just going to go and say good day to Mr. William Hunt. Hey, man, how you going? Sam, congrats to us. Minor premiers are looking closer. Oh, I don't know about that, but it would be very good. Most people don't realize that the Cowboys have been without Cotter since round 18, 19. No. So Ruben Cotter hasn't been with us since round 12 or round 13. It was when the Cowboys went down to Brookvale Oval and pipped the Manly Sea Eagles there. So that's when Ruben Cotter got injured. So we move into the second half, and I thought that the Cowboys needed to shorten the Dragons up. I thought the Dragons were making too many easy meters coming out of their own territory, and I thought discipline, not handling. Our handling was a lot better today. I just thought our discipline needed to be fixed up, and just some defensive decisions on either end of the paddock. In particular, if I may say, Hiku and Kyle Felt just looking like that. Every time we went out that way, it looked like maybe a line break could have been made. But then the second half started, and it was a sloppy start to the second half. Cowboys dropped the ball in their first set of 6. The Dragons went something like 1 from their first 4 sets of the second half. So she was a bit of a hard slog to get back into. And then try scoring really didn't eventuate until the 53rd minute, where the Cowboys, they sort of suffocated the Dragons inside that first 10 minutes because Dragons made that many more errors than the Cowboys did to open up that second stanza. The Cowboys found themselves boxing them in Dragons' defensive territory zone, and they earned a repeat set after repeat set. Eventually, Leilua made a tackle break or made a line break, and then Jaden Sewer yanked on the back of his hair, and then there was a hair pull penalty called onto Jaden Sewer. And then approximately 3 minutes later, and just before that, actually, there was the penalty. There was the hair pull penalty to Luciana Leilua, which I think was fair. A minute or so later, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow in jersey 14 came off the bench to replace Kyle Felt. Kyle Felt was not hooked. Listening to Matt Russell on Fox League, it was said that he was just suffering some hamstring tightness at halftime, and apparently it got worse and worse 10 minutes into the second half. So it's just an automatic swap over, and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow was in place of Kyle Felt. In the 56th minute, it was just all the pressure told on the St. George Illawarra Dragons, where Jason Taumalolo popped another ball for Griffin Neame to score another try off of another Jason Taumalolo short ball. Jason Taumalolo's ball playing man. He's been so good in that department in 2022. And Griffin Neame, he just about had more hit-ups than anybody else in the second half. I thought Griffin Neame in that second half was just about the biggest man, the biggest bloke on the paddock as so far as stature goes, man. Griffin Neame was sensational in that second half, and Griffin Neame scored a try. And thus it blew out to 16 points to 8. And then about 10 or so minutes later, after repeat, this is where the Cowboys' second half, really top-class stats, really started to come back into the spotlight. We were about 67 minutes into the contest. The Dragons had only scored the 1 try. Cowboys had defended their line against the Dragons time after time, maybe 2 or 3 in a row there. And they repelled them, forcing Dragons to make mistakes, or they just simply ran out the set. And then there was an incident where Chad Townsend caught a flick pass. It was either on 4th or 5th tackle. And it was Chad Townsend that caught the ball, intercepted it, then got it out to Drinkwater or Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, and then meters started to be made. And in that same set of 6, the North Queensland Cowboys scored a try through Jeremiah Nanai. Jeremiah Nanai just got the ball from, I think it was Townsend, and just made 10 meters. And the Dragons' defense in that instance wasn't the best as well, it must be said. But Jeremiah Nanai went over to score a try. In the 70th minute, only 3 minutes later, Cowboys were 30 or 20 meters out from the try line, and Reece Robson threw it from right to left, and it took a bounce. The ball took a bounce off of the grass and into Dearden's lap. Dearden then had Valentine Holmes come back in inside him, and Valentine Holmes made a break about 10 meters or so, and up in support with Scott Drinkwater, and Scott Drinkwater goes over, catches Valentine Holmes' pass and scores a try right over the black dot. And then in the 75th minute, it was Robson to Townsend, and Jeremiah Nanai just put on another silky move, man, and Jeremiah Nanai scored a double. And what I put it down to this game is I think the Dragons' errors in the second half is what absolutely killed them. I think they were 10% worse than the Cowboys. The Cowboys had leaked 26 points in 4 or 5 consecutive matches, and they only leaked 8 points today. That is a return back to formula. They only made 6 or 7 errors compared to the errors that the lads have been making over the past month or so. That is a return to form. A lot of experts were saying in the lead up to this game that there was an origin slump that the Cowboys were experiencing and are going to continue experiencing. well, they've recognised that genius. Todd Payton has recognised that somehow, some way, and they looked like they switched back on track halfway through that second half. The North Queensland Cowboys, they looked like, yeah, no, we're ready to go. We're in for a big run towards September finals footy. So that's pretty much the wrap up of it. North Queensland Cowboys 34 points to 8. Who are my three best players on the ground for the North Queensland Cowboys? I would say that Scott Drinkwater had while he scored a try, he had a quieter second half compared to his first half. It was in the first half where just everything he touched, or his touches were class in that first half, and he didn't get around the ball as much in the second half, which is why I don't think he's my man of the match. Jeremiah Nanai is my silver medalist. Jeremiah Nanai scoring a double. Scott Drinkwater scored a double as well. But I think Jeremiah Nanai, every time he touched the ball, bro, he looked like he was going to make a line break or a tackle break. And his defense was good as well. I think he made about 26 tackles for only about 2 missed. And a shout out to Reece Robson. He made 45 tackles today and was really good out of dummy half. I don't think he's ran out of dummy half as many times as what he did today. I think he ran and scooted out of hooker position maybe 8 or 9 times today for 70 plus meters or thereabouts. So Reece Robson had another cracking game. I think Chad Townsend's leadership at halfback, organising everyone, is what gives him man of the match. He was kicking on third and fourth tackle, making sure the big Dragons pack were turning around and getting blown up. I just think Chad Townsend, his halfback leadership and organisational attributes is what makes him my man of the match. With Jeremiah Nanai in there as a very close silver medalist. Cowboys are now again clear second. Wow, it could be the first time ever the Cowboys finished second that high up. What a remarkable season. What an insane turnaround it's been. And we've still got another 5 more rounds left of the regular season. Next week, they got a danger game against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs out there at Salter Oval in Bundaberg. Who knows what's going to happen in that contest? And then the week after, they got the Roosters at the SCG. So they got some weird and kind of special encounters over the next couple of weeks. First time a game's ever been played in Bundaberg. First time the Cowboys have ever played at the SCG. They got a pretty fascinating couple of weeks coming up for the North Queensland Cowboys. So, that's it. The Cowboys, they won their previous encounter against the Dragons this year, 31 points to 12, or something to that scoreline, and they've sort of belted them again. But this time down in Cogra, winning for the first time since 2003, 34 points to 8. And that's a very, very much improved performance by the Cowboys. You friggin' beauty. Hope you've all had a very nice weekend. You can catch me in the next couple of days when I bring out my tips episode. Thank you to everyone that tuned in and said g'day. Hope you all have a very nice week, and I'll talk to you guys later. Adios.